This past week, Sarah Palin wished dads a happy day. Palin wrote on Facebook, "Happy Father's Day, all you great, hard-working American men who make this world a better place. The nation needs you. The nation loves you." And she included some nice pictures of her dad, her husband Todd, and her son Track, who's a father himself. Also this past week, Palin kept campaigning for T.W. Shannon and Chris McDaniel, both common-sense conservatives running for U.S. Senate in Oklahoma and Mississippi, respectively. And Palin posted some awesome pictures of Todd Palin fishing. Palin said any bad day fishing beats any good day, well, doing most anything else. But the governor assures us she will lure Todd away from his Rainbow Bay Lodge he helps run just in time to jet to Tennessee for a big Tea Party rally on Thursday. For tickets to the rally, call 877-995-9961. Again, 877-995-9961 if you happen to be in the volunteer state and want to see Sarah Palin at that big Tea Party rally. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, you can visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page and follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA. Now it's time to strap in with the Colonel. Here's our friend, Colonel Rob Maness.
Thanks, Kevin. This was another great week on the campaign trail to defeat Mary Landrieu here in Louisiana. Ever since Dave Bratt's big win in Virginia, Louisianans have been learning how similar and how liberal Congressman Bill Cassidy's record is to Congressman Eric Cantor's record and to Senator Mary Landrieu's record, especially on immigration issues. Cassidy voted to keep spending our tax dollars on housing welfare for illegal immigrants. Cassidy dodged questions about where he stands on amnesty. And Cassidy won't even sign the fair pledge you may have heard about on Mark Levin's show. Congressman Cassidy hasn't been in Washington as long as Mary Landrieu has, but he has sure learned to play Washington word games just as well. Like President Clinton, who famously said it depends on what the meaning of the word is. Congressman Cassidy says there are different definitions of amnesty. Louisianans want a leader who knows what amnesty is, who refuses to allow it, and who will fight in the Senate to stop President Obama from granting amnesty over the will of the American people. All too often, Republicans make the mistake of nominating weak or moderate Republicans to run for high offices. And all too often, we lose elections to vulnerable Democrats. Here in Louisiana, Mary Landrieu is vulnerable for her record on abortion, gun rights, immigration, and energy policy. I'm pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, anti-amnesty, and all of the above on energy. I believe in free markets, fully auditing the Fed, and economic growth policies, not crony capitalism, central planning, and government bureaucracy. Proudly defending those principles is how I'll win the primary and defeat Mary Landrieu in the runoff. This is retired Colonel Rob Maness with Mama Grizzly Radio.
Join us again next week for another segment of Strap In with the Colonel featuring Rob Maness on Mama Grizzly Radio. For more on Colonel Maness, head to robmaness.com. That's ROBMANESS.com.
It's time for Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimson and Kevin Scholla.
Hello, Susan. Welcome back.
Hey, Kevin. Nice to be here.
Hey, good to have you. So we've seen a lot of things come out of Washington since the Obama administration took over, but a lot of people are calling this latest one the straw that really has broken the camel's back, if not for maybe an umpteenth time. But still, this one has really, really hit that ridiculous meter to a new level.
Well, I think that what you're referring to are the hard drives that were somehow, inexplicably, they crashed, and therefore 2 years' worth of emails from Lois Lerner, who was the head of the IRS, they're gone. And in fact, there is just no way that those emails can be recovered. And I think that I watched Congressman Paul Ryan, who's not usually given to harsh words on the floor, said to the new acting IRS department head, "I do not believe you." And it has turned into something that is so unbelievable that even the average American can get this, that hard drives they don't just crash, and government agency emails, they don't just disappear. They're kept on servers. It's not a hard drive that really matters. Just like for you and for me, we can travel around the country and we can access our emails via a server. And there are plenty of IT officials that have said that this just doesn't jibe. It doesn't make sense. And it is such an outrageous overreach by the White House and a pushback from them that what this really should do is cause great concern among the average American, that if your government is willing to do this to your fellow man based on an application that they don't like the words that you've used on your application, then you could be next. And I think that it's something that Americans are starting to watch a little more closely now.
Yeah, that is a good job by Ryan to straight out say, hey, I don't believe you. That's atypical of him usually for that type of straight talk, but that is what we need here. You know, they were able to sift through all of Governor Palin's emails, that's for sure, and track down anything they needed there, but when something really important is out there, they can't do it. You know, Governor Palin brought up this week, you still talk about Watergate to this day. This seems a whole a lot bigger than Watergate ever was, not to mention the other, scandals throughout this administration that just keep, piggybacking one another. But do they think, like Congressman Ryan, who says he doesn't believe it, do they think the American people believe this? Or is it just that they've gotten so used to just putting everything off to, I don't know, or, this was above my pay grade, as we've heard from Obama, or phrases like that? Do they just feel they can just chalk everything up to just, playing dumb?
Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what the American people think, right? Because what's happening is Congress is abrogating its authority. It's not standing up for the authority that it has in the Constitution for this checks and this balance on the executive branch. It's not asserting its constitutional rights. And until that happens, it actually really doesn't matter what the American people think, because what the Obama administration has figured out, and we're actually starting to see that in Virginia under the McAuliffe administration, because it's a strategy that works. You just look into the camera, you say, I didn't do that, or you say, I'm sorry, all of the emails have disappeared. Who's going to hold them accountable? Certainly not Eric Holder in the Justice Department. The only way that there's any accountability on this is for Congress to assert its constitutional rights. Or if they sue, then it'll have to be the courts that weigh in. There has to be some check on this. But until such time, the Obama administration very clearly has figured out the strategy for accomplishing every single thing that they want, whether or not it's within the law.
Yep, classic Alinsky tactics here once again, or it makes me think of that old Eddie Murphy bit from the 80s where the Jedi mind trick where you just, Mr. T said, no, it wasn't me, and then you say, well, I guess it wasn't you. And one thing this administration is good at is certainly, trickery and getting the eyes off of what's really going on, and flat out, let's call it what it is, lying. So we see that again here. Susan Stimson, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Susan Stimson in Virginia. More Commonwealth Common Sense next week. Now, our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. The president, who initially set out to put the country on a course of hope and change, has only succeeded in changing the country by destroying optimism. I have to admit, it is very discouraging to watch and read the news. The latest revelation from the IRS about losing emails is the straw that broke the camel's back. It appears we, the people, are totally at the mercy of a corrupt executive branch. Congress cannot appoint a special prosecutor, only the executive branch. The IRS is involved in a massive cover-up and obstruction of justice. The people who are supposed to go after the lawbreakers are carelessly ignoring the situation and refusing to take any kind of action. It is terribly distressing that the president simply doesn't care enough to want to preserve the integrity of our government. He doesn't care that he violates the public trust. He doesn't care that someone in his administration has used the IRS in a scary abuse of power. Why wouldn't he want to get to the bottom of the IRS scandal? There is only one reason. He and his office are involved. It is distressing and depressing that there doesn't appear to be anything that we can do except hang on until 2016. This is Sarah Steelman from Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. The Palin Update, including Strappin' with the Colonel, Commonwealth Common Sense, and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook. And follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Rob Manus, at Susan B. Stimson, and at Sarah_Steelman. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Just go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Susan Stimson, Rob Manus, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Chuck Heath Jr., and thank you for listening today. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.